I'd like to welcome our presenters today from Sojourn's Shelter and Services, which was the second ever grant recipient of the Women's Fund. They received a $15,000 grant back in 2009 to support the shelter's economic empowerment program called Realizing Your Economic Action Plan. Sojourn's mission is to build a community free of violence through service, leadership, and education. And our presenter today has been its executive director for more than 8 years. Please welcome Angela Bertoni.
Hi, everyone. If you're able to show your faces, that would be great. No judgment. I've been on, this is my 4th Zoom call today. So I just want to start off telling you a little bit about Sojourn and stuff like that, but I definitely encourage you to type questions as we go along. I definitely want to make sure that I'm answering your questions, and anything that you have, questions and concerns about, please ask. I want to make sure that you guys know as much about us as you can, and that way you can share accurate information throughout the community. So I'll just start off and tell you that Sojourn was founded in 1975. So we've been around for quite a few years now, and we started off as a 4-bed facility with like a $6,000 budget. So not very big at all. And it was formed by a group of citizens that were just concerned throughout the community, much the way the Community Foundation was founded. So a group of people came forward and they had concern about people who were being abused in the community. And so they wanted to do something about that. We were at about 3 different locations before we came to the current facility that we're at 1800 Westchester Boulevard, and we've been there since 1998. So there are some like safe houses or different things like that where the address is not disclosed. We are not that type of domestic violence agency. So our agency is completely known where the location is. And we do have a very secure building, so everything is locked down. You can always get out, you just can't get in. So we serve Sangamon, Logan, Menard, Christian, and Montgomery County. And we have a maximum of 32 beds at our facility. So we serve about 15 families all the time. And unfortunately, we are always full. The length of stay, most people come in for a 30-day initial stay, and we can extend that for another 60 days. So usually we have people in emergency shelter for 90 days. If there are extenuating circumstances, we can always extend that beyond that time period, but through our grants, most of it is up to 90 days stay. We also have some rapid rehousing units through HUD, where we have 4 families that can live there up to 2 years rent-free. So that's a wonderful time for them to be able to build an independent life, make themselves financially sound, and put away a lot of money so that they're able to move out and live an independent life when they get done with that. Now in our shelter, we accept adults and children. We have both males and females who are able to get our services. We do serve the majority of women. About 90% of our population that we serve every year are females and 10% are males. But that's been a misconception to a lot of people. I know once upon a time, I think we were just founded for women, but abuse affects all people. And so we just want everyone to be safe. So that's our main mission. We have all sorts of race and ethnicities and all sorts of income levels. So we have individuals who seek out our services who are in a very low income bracket. And we also have seen doctors' wives and stuff who have showed up at our door. So there are no barriers to who domestic violence affects. So a lot of these individuals don't seek out any types of services until they are abused about 15 times, and then they finally decide to leave. And then once they leave, some of them have very good success rate. They decide to leave and they never go back to those situations. But lots of the people that we see return 6 to 8 times before they truly believe that they are fully capable and ready and mentally prepared to leave their abuser and stay from that person. The main services that we offer, of course, is our shelter. That's located at the 1800 Westchester Boulevard location. But throughout the counties, we also do individual counseling and crisis management in groups. We also do assistance with orders of protection. So we have court advocates in all 5 counties that we serve. We have our 24-hour hotline that serves, actually, we have people call all throughout the United States and actually all throughout the world. So, and then we mostly serve those 5 counties, but honestly, we've helped people from all across the East Coast and the West Coast get to a safe location. We've helped people who were human trafficked, who had been brought to the United States, get back to their homes in other countries. So our main thing is to, just like I said, make sure that we are getting people to a safe environment, and from there, we will help them build an independent life. All of our services are free and confidential. We never charge for any of them. And some of our main funders are the Department of Human Services, and then VOCA and VAWA funds through the Illinois Coalition Against Domestic Violence. We also have money from the Attorney General, United Way of Central Illinois, the Community Foundation, and then lots of other smaller foundations. And the community's been really great about, supporting us with in-kind and monetary donations. So that kind of gives you a little bit of information about that. For most people who don't know, we serve quite a few people. Last year, we served over 7,000 people with over 12,000 hours of crisis management and counseling, over 9,000 hours or nights of safe shelter, and we helped and assisted with over 2,300 orders of protection. So our staff is very busy. And whether you know it or not, but violence, whether it's in our schools, places of work, or on the streets, usually happens at home. So usually when we're sitting in a room, I tell everyone, look to your left, look to your right. 1 out of 3 people are impacted by domestic violence. So in the United States, a woman is assaulted or beaten every 9 seconds, making domestic violence the leading cause of injury to women, more than like accidents, muggings, or rapes combined. So it has a very large impact. And a lot of what I think people don't understand is that they think a lot of abuse is just physical. And that's what I think most people go to whenever they think of domestic violence. But it can be psychological, it can be sexual, it can be financial. So there is a lot of other ways to hurt someone. And if you ask the majority of everyone that we serve, they would rather someone hit them than some of the psychological and emotional abuse and turmoil that they're put through. But sometimes that stuff is harder to prove, like in the court of law, and get safe, like safety mechanisms put in place, like orders of protection, because it's often overlooked, minimized, or denied by a lot of the systems. And that's especially true, like I said, when there's no physicality to that abuse at all. So control and fear are the 2 main things that is what domestic violence is about. So it's all about controlling and keeping someone in check. And this starts off like sometimes, actually at very young ages, we see it in junior high and high school levels where, the boyfriend doesn't want the girlfriend to hang out with their friends, and they use mechanisms like, don't you care about me? Why don't you want to spend time with me? And stuff like that. And it slowly leads to more physical, characteristics, as far as like maybe pushing them up against their locker and stuff like that. And what people don't understand is domestic violence can go from pretty innocent, as far as like, just trying to get the person to always spend time with them, to it can be lethal in a matter of, a few seconds. So we always tell everybody that they really need to be careful. And one of the situations that I've dealt with a family, a young lady had met this gentleman online, and he had, romanced her online, and within a couple months he had moved to here. And her and her family were getting ready to go on vacation, and she didn't have as much vacation time built up as her family. So she decided she was going to stay here, and then in a few weeks she would meet her family. Well, during that time, this gentleman stole her money. He then held this woman down, and he slit her wrist, and he choked the life out of her. And the family ended up finding out on Facebook, when people were putting these things out there, that they were so sorry that this happened to, Tammy and stuff like that. And the family lives here, and this is a family that, we deal with, and they've been really great as far as, helping us, get the word out and providing testimony and stuff about abuse. But it just shows to, prove that within a matter of a few months, this woman went from being a very, a vibrant young lady who was very active in her community and worked really, really hard, to someone who, had met this gentleman and was romanced. And, that's the main thing that we tell everyone, is that abusers don't have anything written on their head. I mean, it's not like a warning label or something like that. So we work a lot with the people that we serve to identify like characteristics of abusers, and to, really think outside the box and know that, there's all sorts of different keys. It's not the lacerations, the cuts, the broken arms, the bruised eyes that, are your first indicators. And that's, often, like so much abuse has gone on till it gets to that point that, women don't note that abuse is happening until a lot of times it's too late. So, we always tell everybody that our main concern for everyone is to get them to safety. So we try to always get them into our shelter. Like I said, it is a very safe environment. It's under lock and key, so you have to be buzzed in. We have cameras everywhere on the inside and the outside, except for the clients' rooms. But we try to get them into there, and then we try to get them to be able to talk to a crisis manager, which they're individually assigned, so they can build a rapport and really talk to them and build some trust, because in a lot of these relationships, they've lost all trust. And unfortunately, sometimes they've been alienated from their family and their friends, and maybe a church community or any other groups they used to be a part of. So they really have, lost a lot of that sense of, feeling comfortable of talking to people. So we try to get a relationship built there. And once we do, we start identifying goals, and it's not our goals. And that's one of the things that we have to remember and think about, that everyone's at a different place in their lives, and what we would think would be a good goal may not be what they have, planned for their lives. So we sit down and we come up with a safety plan, documents that they always need to have with us, plans, if they ever are out in the community and, the abuser would approach them. And so we want to make sure that they're safe at all times. But then, what kind of gainful employment plans do they have, or do they already have a job? What type of housing, can they afford? So one of the things that Erin mentioned was we got money for our REAP program. And so now we do a combination of still the REAP along with an all-state program. And it's all about helping these individuals create a financial plan, a budget, and so that way that they have a way to maintain their independence. Because whether someone has never worked because the person didn't want them to work, or whether someone was in a situation where they didn't have to work because they were in a very well-to-do family. A lot of the individuals that we serve have come to us without gainful employment. So our thing is to make sure that we help them get gainful employment, get their kids enrolled in school, get the kids' life as, I guess, as steady as possible, and give them some stability. And then we want to make them, find a job, get them signed up for some permanent housing so that they have a place to transition to after they leave our shelter. Because we know if we cannot get their life more stable than what it has been, we know they're gonna return to the situation that they came from. So that's very, very important for us to do. And some of the other things that we have to think about is a lot of times the kids coming into shelter, they've had so much turmoil in their lives, and like they're having difficulty because, their teacher is complaining that they're falling asleep in class, and that, why aren't they learning very well? And what we try to educate, everyone on is, unfortunately, up until this point, the kids are going to bed every night and they're telling us, they're scared because they don't know if they're going to wake up in the morning and they're going to find mom dead. They don't know what's going to go on during the middle of the night. They don't know if they're going to be abused. And domestic violence is the #1 risk indicator for child abuse. And 75% of the cases where mom is being abused, the child is also being abused. So keep that in mind. If you see something happening with someone in the community, if you can talk to them, it's really important, because because most likely it's just a whole environment of family violence going on. So we need to talk to these kids, and, you know, we need to let them know that, you know, it's not their fault, and we need to make their lives as well as possible. We have a children's center. We have a big playground that they can play on and stuff like that. And we just try to connect with them during play. It's a lot easier than sitting across the table with them. So whether it's, you know, coloring with a 4-year-old and talking to them, or taking a 16-year-old out to, you know, shoot some hoops out on our, you know, basketball pad that we have out back, whatever it is, we have to connect with them and, you know, get them where they feel safe and secure, get them enrolled in school, get them going to school if they even are enrolled, but they hadn't been attending. And then, you know, we make sure that they have all of the school supplies they need and their lunch bags. And when the people come to shelter, we're always making sure that they have food, and they have, you know, laundry facilities, and they have clothing and any other type of personal hygiene items. So we're just trying to take care of all of those things so we can alleviate any worry from both mom and child, or dad and child, so that they can just really concentrate on healing on the inside. And so once we get these kids, you know, established, then we talk to the schools, and it's amazing how much better the kids are doing in school. And it's because, one, they're sleeping at night, so they're not falling asleep in class. They have a full belly, you know, and so they're not, you know, as, you know, maybe sometimes as easily angered, or, you know, things are pretty well in shelter. And so they're just, you know, for the first time in their lives, a lot of them are just taking deep breaths and feeling like they can just be kids. And they're not forced to try to hide, you know, other siblings so that they don't get hit, or, you know, they're not worried about, you know, trying to take care of mom when, you know, she gets hurt. And so there's just a lot of situations like that going on. I want to give you some staggering statistics, because even some of us who work in the field have a hard time believing that some of these things happen. But in the US, 20 people are beaten per minute, and 10 million, so that equates to over 10 million women and men. A woman is assaulted every 9 seconds. In the US, more than 3 women are murdered by their partners every day. 1 in 3 women and 1 in 4 men have experienced physical violence by an intimate partner. 1 in 7 and 1 in 18 men have experienced stalking. And then we talked about child abuse being the #1 risk indicator in over 75% of the cases. Nationally, 50% of all women and men on the streets are there because of domestic violence in their home. 63% of young men who are serving time for homicide have killed their mother's abusers. 80% of juvenile and adult prisoners have experienced domestic violence as a child. And then every year, domestic violence results in over 100,000 days of hospitalizations, 30,000 emergency room visits, and 40,000 visits to physician. And then domestic violence victims lose nearly 8 million days of paid work per year in the US. That's the equivalent of 32,000 full-time jobs. And then the cost of domestic violence in the US exceeds $8.3 billion per year. So we've gone from an agency that started off as a $6,000 agency. Right now we're about a $1.6 million agency. We're serving like leaps and bounds above the individuals that we used to. So if we can reach the people at where we are, and we can get them, like I said, stable and get them in housing, we are saving the community huge amounts of money by, you know, making sure that these individuals are safe. And that's our main thing. We just want to make sure that everyone can go to bed at night and feel safe. And so we have all sorts of individuals that we've impacted over the years, and it's really nice. Some of them have come back as adults and told us that they've stayed with us as children and talked about their situation. And a lot of them truly have a heart for, you know, what we do, and they want to help and they want to give back. So in all the ways that we can find to utilize volunteers, we do. We have, you know, just a great outpouring from the community. We have a lot of volunteers who come in and make meals. We have volunteers who help us on special projects. Like when I first got there, we did a huge playground build. We have fundraisers every year. We have individuals who come out and help us with landscaping or mowing yards. There's so many like little things that people can do that have a huge impact on those that we serve. We have some individuals who come out and they put on like a big screen movie out in our courtyard and bring a grill, and we kind of cook out there, and it's like an indoor outdoor movie theater, like kind of like a drive-in without the cars. And so we try to think of creative ways to bring some normalcy to these individuals who have not had that in their life, and show them love and show them understanding, and let them know that they are not alone, and that this is something that happens to a lot of people. It doesn't happen to them, or it doesn't happen to a certain demographic, that it really does impact, you know, so many people in our environment. And it's sad because I know pretty much every place I go, I'm going to run into at least a handful of people throughout my day. And so I guess the main thing you can keep in mind is that if you see something, you know, let that person know that you're there, let them know that you're open. And definitely if someone, you know, says something to you, always believe them. Err on the side of caution, help, you know, get them connected with someone, get them integrated. We've taken our services this last couple years out into the community. So we have a traveling crisis manager and counselor, and there's sometimes where people can't get to our shelter because of safety reasons. But we always have like business cards that present like we're a flower shop, so that people, you know, if an abuser would find it. We have creative ways where people can, you know, message us, whether, you know, if they can't talk on the phone, they message us sometimes, you know, through other forms like Facebook Messenger and stuff like that. But our main thing is, like I said, just to get them to our facility. So if they don't have a means of transportation, we can send a taxi cab to pick them up in the middle of the night and get them to our shelter. And during COVID, that's brought about some, I guess, some difficulties, because we've had to shift on the ways we do some things. So we are still serving people in shelter, but because of the way our shelter is set up, our rooms are more like dorm rooms. There's like a room and it has like 2 sets of bunks, and then another room with 2 sets of bunks, and then they share a restroom. And so we've had to cut back the number of people that we can take in shelter. And we have a room that's set up like an ADA room. So when we've had people who have been ill, we put them in that room to quarantine until we can get them to test. And then once they test, if we would have anybody who would test positive, we could get them into a hotel with some special funds that we got. And then if they test negative, we always make them go back and take another test in case we didn't catch it in the right time period. I know some people have tested positive after a little bit longer. So after we get a couple negative tests, then we like reintegrate them back into the regular area of the shelter. We've stopped a lot of like cooking, and we've done a lot more of, you know, either fresh meals being served, or, you know, meals that they can heat in the microwave and that type of thing, or things that don't have to be refrigerated and, you know, cooked. And the reason we've done that is so many people tend to, you know, gather in the kitchen area and stuff like that. So when, you know, we're always like reminding them, we supply a whole bunch of masks. We have hand sanitizer everywhere throughout the facility. We check temperatures when they come in. So we're trying to do everything we can to make sure everyone in the environment is staying healthy and safe. But we see that people tend to try to gather. So we've tried to eliminate any areas. Also with our crisis management and our counseling, we were doing some by phone, we're doing some by Zoom. And that's something we've never done before. So it's definitely been a learning curve for us, but people like to see us more than, you know, just being on the phone. So that's something. So whether the people are staying in shelter or we have non-residential clients, they can always call us 24 hours a day. There is always someone at the shelter. We never close. 24/7, 365. So much like fire departments and police departments, we are always there to respond. So anytime someone would vacate, if they come to our door and ring the bell, we can always let them in. If they want to call us and it's 3:30 in the morning there is a staff member there, not a volunteer, not someone who doesn't, know all of the information. We always have someone that's been very well trained and equipped to answer that phone at all times. So, and we've been doing that throughout the entire pandemic. I know a lot of other domestic violence shelters transferred a lot of clients to hotels and transferred their calls to the state hotline. We chose not to do that. So we've tried to prevent a lot of overlapping of staff working together, but we've had at least one staff member, sometimes there's 5 there, always there to help the clients however they need. So that's something that's been really important. We've been cleaning the shelter. We always clean the shelter, but we've been cleaning it a lot. We got some pretty neat tools. We got a big fogger, and with hospital grade disinfectant, we can like fumigate rooms and sanitize them in a short period of time, where before we were trying to take wipes and Lysol and everything else, and it was just exhausting. So we found some new innovative ways to offer technology services. We find ways to clean our shelter. We're still providing them all of their meals, bus tokens when the buses are running. We also have all of their food we're still providing. We have 3 sets of washers and dryers, so we have laundry facilities on site. We're still providing them clothing. So anything that they need during this time, they've not really much had to leave the facility to go and get anything, and that was especially important with the shelter in place. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. We're always preaching, maintain 6 feet of distance, but just like the community, everybody asks how things are going. I think the people in shelter have done a really remarkable job actually over the last 8 or 9 months. I'm so thrilled. We sometimes have groups that participate and are better well behaved than others, and I think that just happens with every community living environment. But we've had a really good group that's been in here, and we've had people that have vacated and other people that have come in, but pretty much we've just explained our rules and regulations right now, and they're really like they're safety precautions, and they're in place not only for their safety but for everybody else. And so everybody's done a really pretty good job of doing everything that we've asked them to do as far as like safety precautions and stuff like that. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. We haven't been having volunteers come in during this time either. We've really restricted who we've let in the shelter and who we've let, drop things off, and what kind of things that we were dropping off and stuff like that. So, but I think that is the majority of the things Erin wanted me to talk about. I don't know if anybody else has any specific situations or things that they want to ask about, but I am an open book. So you can chat, if Erin's okay with it, you can unmute yourself and ask questions. I would be happy to answer anything. I know there's a lot of information.
Yeah, absolutely. Angela, thank you so much for the presentation. And like you said, there's questions, feel free to ask those or put those in the chat, and I can relay those to Angela if you write those in the chat. Yeah, either way, if there's any questions, we feel free to open that up.
Angela, this is Mary Loken. I know when Sojourn first started, the children were considered homeless, and that has such extra rules and requirements on school districts. How is the situation handled at this point?
Well, actually, all individuals, according to HUD stipulations and guidelines, when they are fleeing from domestic violence, adults and children are considered homeless. Right. We do work really close with the school district. We have a truancy officer that we work with, and that's one of the things that during this time, a lot of the adults that we have been working with through COVID, they've had a really hard time. Not only are they dealing with the stress of their everyday life and the abuse that they've endured, but just COVID has added a whole nother layer that has been extremely stressful for these individuals. So some of them have not wanted to bring their children in because that is something, I mean, we have to abide by the guidelines and we have to get them enrolled in school. And so we've been assisting, like we have a computer lab where the kids and the adults can do schoolwork and search for jobs and different things like that that they would need to use a computer for. So the kids have to get on the computers. They have to do the online schooling. It's not an option. And so, you know, some of them may not like that rule, you know, where I don't know if they can hide and no one can find them, I guess, then they don't have to themselves get the kids doing the online schooling. But that is definitely something that we've done. But we've always worked real close with all of the school districts to make sure that the kids are, you know, we have a bus that comes right to our facility. And so, you know, we know that they're safely getting on the bus and they're being picked up, they're being taken to school, they're getting off at our facility. So we just, you know, we always want to make sure that education is a priority, because honestly, not only do we want to educate them at our facility about abuse, but we also want to make sure that they're well educated so that we hope that they can grow up and, you know, they can break that cycle of violence and not continue it in their lives, and they can be productive members of, you know, the community and really make a difference.
Thank you.
Angela, there's a question in the chat from Susan of what is the average length of stay?
For most of the people that come in, they come in and they stay the 90 days. We have people who, unfortunately, they come in and they stay a day or they stay a few days and they decide that, you know, they don't like the situation, or they've been coerced by mom or some other family member to come to our facility. And so they come just to appease that person. And I always tell everyone, like, when people come to the facility, they have to come on their own accord. Like, we can't drag them, we can't lock them in. They really have to want to make that change and that difference themselves. And until they are really, truly ready to, you know, cut off that relationship that they have with their abuser, they're not going to have a productive stay, because we really want to give them all the tools that they can, but we can only give them the tools and we can assist them, but they really have to take those tools and they have to use them and figure out how they are going to build their life. And then that's why I said, it's not about what we think or what we, you know, or we're like, oh, you should do this, you know, you should, yeah, this sounds like they have to have buy-in to whatever plan that it is that they're coming up with.
Hi, this is Sarah Bunn. Do you ever counsel the abusers to get them to change their ways?
We are not a program that's set up for that. There is a partner abuse intervention program, and it's called PAPE, and they work with the abusers, but we do not. Honestly, it would be a very delicate situation to try to be bringing abusers into our facility at the same time that the people there are abused. So we just work on the one side of it, and there are other programs that work with the abusers. So it definitely, you know, if there is going to be any changes implemented, it definitely has to be a full family, you know, change and stuff like that. But yeah, we're just there for the ones who need safety and are concerned. So
yeah. So you mentioned you're always full. I suppose that implies that you are sometimes turning people away.
We do work with some other local shelters, and everything can change. Honestly, we can start off full at 8 a.m. and by 8:35, we could have 3 families vacate. Yeah. You know, and changes can happen so quickly, or it can be, you know, a couple days before there's any changes, but there definitely is some changes. So we work with the other shelters to partner up to get individuals in there until we can transfer them back to us. We also have some special funds that we can pay for them to stay in a hotel if we would need to. Like if we know someone's vacating shelter in 2 days, we don't want to turn them away. We don't want them to go someplace, you know, back to an environment where they're not safe. We also have other, you know, shelters that are throughout the state where, you know, if it's not convenient for them to be there, we could get them at least into shelter for a few days till they can get back to our facility. So we're constantly making sure our main goal, and one of the things we make sure is that if someone calls us, we are helping them find that housing. We're available and accessible 24 hours a day, and that they don't have to call us back. Like we want to make sure like we're addressing their needs whenever they call us the first time.
Angela, there's a question in the chat of what types of donations is Sojourn seeking or accepting at this time?
Okay, sorry, oops, there's another one. Okay, so just a second. You want me to go with that one? There's one before that.
Yeah, yeah, I was at both, yeah, but
Okay, so the one before that was asking if an abuser, Sojourn plays a role in holding a domestic abuser accountable. And we do. We have court advocates in all 5 counties, and what they do is they go to court with our clients. And so they are definitely there helping them fill out the paperwork, helping them prepare all the information they might have, like if they have any video or they have any text messages or any other letters or any other proof of what violence has been going on in the home. So they really help out with that a lot in the preparation. I mean, we are not attorneys, so we are court advocates, not like legal advocates. So we can only go on that side of it, but I can tell you that our judges and our police departments and all of our, attorneys, they work really closely with us, and we will have the judges actually ask our, court advocates, for information. They really do rely on them. Where at some other locations throughout the state, they don't have that same rapport. And so that's really, really important for us. We work super close with the circuit clerk's office and the state's attorney's office. And then we have about 50 attorneys who serve as pro bono attorneys for us. So like if they are representing the clients or helping them when they go for an order of protection, if the other side has legal counsel, our pro bono attorneys will actually help our clients with divorces or helping to repair their credit if there's been financial abuse. So we have a lot of like really tight-knit groups that we're working with. We also do a lot of training one-on-one. So like every year when the police departments do their training, we go in and we train about domestic violence and about our court advocacy and about orders of protection. And so we try to prepare everybody and get everybody as well trained as possible. And then on here, the thrift shop. So we were on the west side for a long period of time, and our rent was so exorbitant. And we were also paying the person that we had the lease with had us pay the taxes. So every year we were going in the red about, anywhere from $30,000 to $70,000. And so we ended up, and so we were trying to fundraise to make that even out. So we ended up moving to the other location that we were at for, I think we were there for like 3 years, and they lowered our rent at first whenever they came in, and then they sold. And then they wanted to raise our rent, and we explained to them kindly that we couldn't. So we actually set up a partnership with the Salvation Army that's on Wabash, and they allow all of our clients to shop there for free. And honestly, it's such a headache that went away because we were not, even at our best year, we were still like $15,000 in the hole. And our whole premise of the reason that we set up the thrift shop is that first it was owned by somebody else and they ran a thrift shop and then they gave donations to us. That was great. But when we had to try to do it ourselves, like I said, just going through the sheer amounts of material that people brought us, and some people brought us some really great things. And other people honestly would bring stuff that it was covered in fecal material, cat urine. I mean, it was so disgusting. And what we tried to explain to everybody is that people are down on their luck. Nobody wants to wear a sweater that has, 4 huge holes in it. And so a lot of stuff we were just like going through, and it spent so much time going through the items that literally we had to throw in a dumpster. And so it was pretty sad. So like I said, we have a lot of great donors, and those donors have continued. Some of them still bring some stuff to the shelter, and we do keep some things in our basement so that we have coats and bras and underwear and socks and just some like different types of various clothing down there. So we have things when people arrive immediately. But the Salvation Army allows us to, write referrals, and our clients can go and pick out clothes for free. So it actually is the best of both worlds. They get a lot more donations because things we couldn't keep at the shelter, they can, and they can sell. And so it's beneficial for both of us. So we found a way to really just create a collaboration that was more beneficial to the community and us as a whole. So that's what happened there. Let's see what else we got here. And we do put like different things out on our Facebook, and people are really great. So like if we need laundry detergent, we put that out there. If we are looking for, like we just put something out that we are looking for hats and gloves and robes and socks and different things like that to give to our clients around the Christmas time. And so we just kind of put that out there. And so any of those things, we do have a huge basement, and we have lots of things in totes that we give out to our clients. We also have an adopt a family program that we do throughout the Christmas time. And we have different volunteers who adopt a family, and they go out and they Christmas shop based on a list of what the clients have said, and they wrap the presents, and the kids get presents, and they always usually get the adults, you know, stuff too. And so it's a really nice way. So pretty much that's our way of getting clothes and supplies.
Angela, a couple of questions of where the Salvation Army drop-off is for donation, and second question of how many women are successful in setting up a new life after they stay in the extended housing.
Actually, most of the ones that we end up serving in some way are, you know, like I said, not all of them first time around learn from, you know, their situation and stuff like that. And sometimes they will return, and we'll let them know that we'll be here when they need us again. But like I said, we've had so many success stories over the years. I've been there, like I said, going on 8 years, and it's been amazing. And it's so great to see people. I always tell everyone, like, if you see me out in the community, I won't acknowledge you because I never want people to know how you know me. And a lot of people know me as Angela from Sojourn, not like who I really, like my real person. And so, but if they always come up and speak to me first, I always speak to them. And it's just, it's so wonderful to hear about, you know, how lives have changed, and, you know, how, you know, whether, you know, we have some clients who have become very successful and gotten some really great jobs, and, you know, the family is flourishing and the kids are doing excellent in school and stuff like that. So those things are always so nice to hear. And then unfortunately, you do have, you know, those individuals who work the system. I mean, they come to us, and then after they get done with us, they might transfer over to Mercy, and they get however many, you know, months or years of service they can get there, and then they go to somebody else, and then they come back to us. So it's sad, but, you know, you'll always probably have that. But we have a lot of mechanisms in place, you know, with all of the different groups that we work with. I work closely, I sit on the board for the Continuum of Care, and so we work creating, you know, consolidated lists as far as for housing, list on if we provide people assistance with like rent or utilities. So we all kind of work together. And so that's diminished over the years greatly, but I think you will always have those people who somehow know how to work the system.
Angela, one other question, what types of donations is Sojourn seeking or accepting at this time?
I always tell everyone, think about your household. We have about 15 families living at all times. So that's a lot of toilet paper and a lot of paper towels. And then I tell them to think about different things that you use, like anything from personal hygiene items, shampoo, conditioner, razors, toothbrushes, toothpaste, floss, hair products, and then, you know, things that you use in your kitchen, plates, cups, silverware. The only thing I tell them about bedding is we only have twin beds, so sheets, we can only use twin sheets, but, you know, we can use any size of blankets. We have one lady who's amazing. She makes these absolutely beautiful quilts, and we allow our clients to take them when they leave. And they're absolutely stunning and really nice. But that's something that she feels like, you know, it becomes kind of a home, more of a home when they get to take that type of thing with them. We also like pillows, cleaning supplies is something we use a lot of. So Clorox wipes, disinfectants, you know, any type of Windex, you know, anything else that you would clean your home. We go through a lot of vacuum cleaners, lots of microwaves. I'm trying to think anything. Oh goodness. Just kind of, if you sit around and think washcloths, towels, And I think what else there is there. I have a whole list I can send you of different things, but definitely we collect, you know, baby food and diapers and wipes and ointment and those types of things for the younger babies and young toddlers. We also collect shelf-stable food, you know, that we take all the times of the year, and so that way we constantly, you know, have those types of things. We can take some like fresh fruit and stuff like that, but we have to be a little more careful about that because if not, we get a lot of people donating a lot of things and then it just goes to waste. Trying to think if there's other things right off the top of my head I can think of. I think that's the majority of the things. Like, I don't know if I mentioned laundry detergent, but we do provide laundry facilities. So them being able to do that and dryer sheets and those types of things are really useful. Let me see here. When we move the people to our HUD housing, we provide them pretty much a huge care package. So we provide them with, you know, comforter sets and, you know, all sorts of like things they might need for their kitchen and plates and cups and a crock pot and pans and, you know, all of those things that we use at the shelter, but we try to give them almost like a huge care package so that, you know, kind of their house is set up. And then if we have donors that want to give furniture, you know, we have some people who donate some nice used furniture and we can help them, you know, put, you know, their house together that way. Trying to see what else here.
Yeah, I believe that you had covered all the different questions. Thank you so much, Angela, for this presentation, especially with so many issues that are exacerbated with COVID right now, and just really providing a whole context of what you do and the services you provide. So thank you so much for coming on and presenting all this. For the members, you know, we will have this video recorded and we'll have it sent to you by email. So if you have friends in the community that you think this they would like to see, and these are the kinds of projects and programs that Women for Women likes to help, we will have that to you here shortly. We'll have that up as soon as possible for you. We will, Angela, sorry, just one last thing. We'll look to continue this series, and this is the fourth one we've done. We'll continue this in 2021. So look in February. I think we'll have our next organization that we'll have come on and present. Angela, again, thank you so much for coming in.
I'm just going to quickly give you our hotline number.
Absolutely.
217-726-5200. And like I said, someone is always there to answer the phone. So that's been probably the hardest thing during COVID is we're open 24 hours a day. So just making sure that staff are safe and healthy and clients are safe and healthy, but definitely tell people to reach out, you know, even if they're not ready to walk away from the situation, even if they're not ready to get out, we are there at all times. Even if they just, like I said, they wake up in the middle of the night and they just need to talk to someone, there's someone always there for them.
Thank you so much, Angela. And thank you everyone for coming. I appreciate it, and have a safe, happy holidays.